People are here. Oh my god, this is cool. Oh my gosh, this is my first really big live like this, so thanks for coming in. I figured people are always asking me questions, so why not answer them live so everyone can benefit from it. And if you have a health question and you don't want to ask it publicly, you can always send me a message and I can answer it here, or I can make a separate video just to address that question so people can learn from it in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and you guys can watch the replay. Again, my name is Lacy. Welcome to Ignite, Light Up Your Life, and this is Bullet Coaching. So the first question is from Gail. She's wondering about chiropractor. I don't know how many of you go to a chiropractor. You want to, give me a like. I used to go to a chiropractor. I've had some problems with my back, so I haven't been going to one recently. You'd think I would, but it's a little fragile. You don't always want to go see a chiropractor, actually, if you have back problems. It just depends on what you and your doctor decide for your treatment plan. And in my case, the chiropractor could be a little bit more risky because I could be having an adjustment that isn't as advantageous for the position of my back. So that being said, for you, there's a couple of different types of chiropractors out there, and I know here in Wenatchee we have quite a few types of people that you can choose from. It's really up to you and what you prefer and your level of comfort. For me, I really like to go with someone traditional who's hands-on. I've tried the activator gun method and it was a little bit harsh for my liking. It's good for some things, but I really like a traditional, it's called the Gonstead technique. So the Gonstead technique is like a more hands-on technique approach where they're manipulating your spine and you hear that cracking of the back. And what that actually is it's kind of the air that's it's the backed up air bubbles kind of in your spine and your joints. So when you hear that popping, it's just some air being released in your joints, and it sometimes that sounds a little bit scary. And then they have the activator gun. The activator gun is an instrument, if you've ever seen it before. It drives a gentle impulse in your vertebrae at different points on your spine, and there are different points in your spine that, in your vertebrae, that help with different, systems in your body. So if you're out of alignment in certain parts of your spine, you can actually have an effect in different parts of your body, and I can go over that later on. But the activator technique is just a little gun, and it can shoot you in the back. It's kind of freaky and it just gently manipulates the spine, and you don't have to have any of that hands-on technique that kind of like cracks you, and that's kind of scary for people. I know that getting your neck adjusted can be really frightening. For me, I like to do it laying down. I'm not a fan of sitting in the chair and having it adjusted. That is really kind of freaky to me. Another thing you can do is the decompression method, which is when they stick you in a decompression chamber and almost stretch you out. That's really good for people who sit a lot and don't get a lot of movement in their spine, and it's like a spinal decompression chamber. It's like a gentle stretching motion, and you can actually use all of these techniques together depending on what you need to have a treatment plan. So for me, I right now am just getting gentle manipulation. It's a diversified technique from my naturopathic physician. She just does a little bit of, it's like a decompression of my spine when I go in to see her osteomanipulation. So your naturopathic physician, if they have training, actually every naturopathic physician does have training in spinal manipulation like you would get from the chiropractor. It just depends on their level of comfort with that. So where I work, we do provide the spinal manipulation, a little bit of it, that to help with your treatment plan, so you don't have to go to a chiropractor and pay those extra fees. So it's really up to you what kind of chiropractor you would like to go to. If you are kind of a hands-off person, I would suggest the activator method. And if you are like diving in and you really want to get a lot of benefit, go to someone who does both of these things. And then, maybe maybe try out the decompression method if you are sitting a lot and you have some herniated discs. That can be really helpful. And in addition, with a healthy exercise routine, of course. And you always want to do your homework and look at their website and call ahead and see what their fees are. You don't want to get trapped into the coming 3 times a week. That's a sign of somebody that's just really like throwing their person through the ringer and trying to make money. You want a doctor that's going to look at you as a person, and this goes for every single doctor. You want to have a doctor that looks at you as a individual and gives you an individualized treatment plan, rather than just kind of taking you through a room and doing it, and then leaving. And they talk, make sure they talk to you and they're not trying to sell you a bunch of supplements. Supplements, that's a huge topic, and I'm actually going to be doing a video about that tonight, and it's going to be released on my YouTube tomorrow, because supplements are really beneficial if you have the right kind of supplements and if they are high quality. But if you're buying them from like Walmart, or you're getting them from certain companies, they use a lot of fillers, which actually are not used to your benefits. And unfortunately, when you're getting supplements for your animals, a lot of these are filled with fillers that are not good for us. So you want to be really picky when it comes to choosing supplements. So if you're going to a doctor, even a naturopathic doctor that's trying to push a bunch of supplements on you, there's always better ways. But sometimes supplements are called for if you have different things, like for example, you're trying to reset your gut health. It's really great to do like glutamine. So that is that's indicated for something like that, but you really want to discuss that with your doctor. So the next question again is from Gail, and this is kind of a big topic. So herbs, using herbs in your everyday life. This is actually going into the back to the supplement thing. You can actually eat all of your medicine if you have the proper diet. The best way to get your herbs is to actually eat them and cook with them. And there's some really wonderful resources out there, and I'm going to be doing some videos later on in the future about how to cook with herbs. And if you are here locally in our valley, we have a really awesome apothecary that has been teaching people how to cook with herbs and how to use herbs in your everyday life, and I can drop that resource below when we're finished. And you can actually get all of your medicine from your diet. And essentially the answer to all of these questions is, the core of most of these is you need to change your diet. And honestly, in every single one of these questions, I can say that if you eliminate sugar from the diet, it can help all of these conditions immensely. And going towards a more plant-based diet. I'm not an advocate of veganism. If you're vegan, that's good for that's great for you. I just personally, my body needs meat, and I need some more protein than that. Ethically, I stick with as clean as you can meat, but it can be really difficult. So back to the herb question, using herbs with your children and using herbs with your everyday life, you really want to be careful with herbs that you're using with your children. Not all herbs are generally recognized as safe, and so you'll want to do your homework before embarking upon treating your kids with herbs. That can be another video for another day. A really great resource is learningherbs.com. They have a lot of good free resources for learning how to use those things in your everyday life. So the next question from Gail is how to find a naturopathic doctor when you don't have insurance, or if you're on state insurance. That is a great question, or if you're on a low budget. So here in Washington State, we actually are able to utilize all insurances except for Medicare. Medicare doesn't accept any naturopathic physicians until all 50 states, like there are states like Wyoming that don't require licensing for naturopathic physicians. So you can actually just like print out a certificate and say, I'm a naturopath, and pretend to be one, which is absolutely insane. So until states like that get their shit together, Medicare won't cover naturopathy. But Medicaid here in the state of Washington actually does cover naturopathy, which is wonderful. So you can use things like Molina, coordinated care, United, and there's a couple other ones out there. There are some naturopathic physicians, like one of the clinics I work for. We do take state insurance, and there are some that exist. You'll want to go to Molina, and they will, or your insurance carrier, and ask them what kind of primary care physicians are on your network that are covered. So they'll give you a list, and then you can choose your primary care provider. You have to designate that provider as your primary care. So if you were coming to one of our physicians, you would say that we are your primary care provider, and then you'll have everything covered. It's wonderful. It's actually, it covers all your labs, it covers all your visits, it covers all your medication. It's some really good insurance if you have it. And then if you have stuff like Primera or Regents or Aetna, Cigna, United, Coordinated Care covers most of it, and the only one that does not cover naturopathic benefits is Allied Health, and they don't cover, but that's in the state of Washington again, so it just varies on your state. I think Colorado is also a state that you can get naturopathic benefits on your insurance, so you can go to www.naturopathic.org. I'll drop that below when we're finished, and you can type in your zip code to find an accredited naturopathic physician. And you want to get an accredited physician because they're paying their dues and they're doing their continuing education every year. And these are the physicians that actually are high quality. Because sometimes naturopathic physicians can kind of be on the edge, like I said, if they're from a state like Wyoming, unfortunately. But yeah, so you can find pretty good doctors here in like Colorado and California. And then the next question again is from Gail. I love this. Thank you, Gail. You're awesome. Is how to talk to a regular doctor about herbal treatments and interactions with pharmaceutical medication. Boy, medical doctors, a lot of them are not versed in this. That's the benefit of having an integrative naturopathic physician. So naturopathic physicians are actually trained in every single thing that medical physicians are trained in, but more. They have more treatment options. So they get to learn about herbalism, they get to learn about nutrition, they get to learn about if they go into acupuncture, they get to do osteomanipulation, they get to do lifestyle and exercise, in addition to pharmaceuticals. They do get to learn about pharmaceuticals, and in the state of Washington, they can prescribe pharmaceuticals except for the higher scheduled drugs. So you want to find an integrative or functional medical doctor when you're looking for someone that is open-minded about herbal treatments. A lot of the good old boy medical physicians don't know a lot about that unless they've had continuing education on that topic. You kind of just have to vet them. You're interviewing your doctor. When you get a primary care doctor, you are interviewing them to kind of find out what they're like. So when you go into that first visit, ask them what their take on integrative medicine is, and what their take on using supplements is, what their take on diet and exercise is, and let them answer those questions the very first time you go in. And make sure that you have a notebook, and I carry a binder. I get all my lab results, I have my treatment plans. I usually ask for my chart notes and my records. I want everything. I want to know what's going on with my healthcare. So I would suggest everybody else do that as well. And if you get onto Amazon, there's a really cool thing. It's like called the medical binder, and you can get a binder that gets all of your history in there. It's really great. So those questions are wonderful, Gail. Thank you. The next question is about cluster headaches, chronic cluster headaches. So that is a really awesome question. For those of you who don't know what a cluster headache is, a cluster headache is where severe painful headaches happen in a pattern of 24 hours all over your head. They can begin at night, they can be ocular migraines, they can be random, they can be triggered by light, it can just kind of vary on what's going on with you. And sometimes they term it a cluster headache if they don't know what's going on with you. And a lot of times this comes down to diet again, and people eat a lot of sugar these days, so that does contribute a lot to it. I know that sugar and chocolate are big contributors, but some things that other people don't think about are getting that chiropractic adjustment. A lot of times when people are having these cluster migraines, they can actually be related to back pain or upper neck pain. That whole entire area up in here, it affects your everything, and so when you have your neck is out, it will affect you and it can give you a headache. I know that for me, I've had many ocular migraines when my neck is out. So try to get a chiropractic adjustment. Make sure that it's somebody who does a lot of necks, and make sure it's somebody you're comfortable with. Another culprit could be, do you need an eye exam? You could be straining your eyes. You might be on the computer a lot. Maybe, get off the computer and your phone and try to do some eye exercises. A lot of headaches are linked to lack of sleep, and, eye strain and the lights. So you really want to figure out if you need glasses or contacts, and then you can also put this thing called eye.flux on your computer, which is a yellow screen that can help reduce your eye strain with your circadian rhythm, which is a big thing with the sleep. So you can take things like magnesium to help with these cluster headaches. Sometimes they're caused by a magnesium deficiency, so you can try the Calm's magnesium. B2 is also helpful, and getting your diet into check is helpful. Sometimes it can also be a melatonin deficiency or hormone changes can contribute to this, so you want to ask your doctor about checking your hormone levels. Things like your adrenal glands and stress can be also a big contributing factor to cluster headaches. And changes in sleep patterns are huge. And I know that was another question here, so I'm actually going to jump into this sleep thing, because that can be a big contributor to the headaches, and I will go more into headaches. I'll address each one of these in a separate video on YouTube here within a week. So sleep is probably one of the biggest problems I hear for people that they have insomnia, and I know that my husband and I both struggle with sleep on and off throughout our life, and I've always been a night owl. Well, a lot of this is actually caused by our sleep hygiene, and in our technological world, we're using a lot of screens and there's a lot of light, and it's disrupting our circadian rhythm. So what I do is I have the eye.flux, and it's the circadian rhythm. Sorry, I had a message there. It helps with your circadian rhythm, and it puts the yellow screen over your computer. So it helps with the eye strain, and it helps to reduce that so that you can kind of reset your sleep pattern. And in the wintertime, it can be really difficult if you live north like we do, or in Alaska, because the sunlight is not here. Sorry, I was reading another question, guys. These lives are funny. Anyway, so with sleep, your circadian rhythm has a lot to do with your sleep pattern. So you want to have really good sleep hygiene. That means no watching TV before bed, or you want to stop watching TV about 2 hours before bed. Get off your computer about 2 hours before bed. Put your phone away about 1 to 2 hours before bed, and maybe engage in some reading or some light art, or just some low stimulating behavior. Do some meditation. I know that doing a nightly meditation before bed has been really helpful for me. So turning off that TV, turning off that phone, actually not having your phone in your room because of the electromagnetic frequencies is very helpful. So that can be another big one. You want to remove that stimulus from your room. And then, so those things are very helpful. Sometimes taking a bath and getting relaxed. Setting your day up. This is kind of something that a lot of people don't do. Set your day up in the night before, so that you're not having anxiety before you go to sleep, because I know that a lot of people's problem for sleep-wise is your mind is going. So you're kind of thinking about tomorrow. So if you get a list before your day and kind of dump it down in like a planner. I have a planner. I'm really old school. I like to write things down, so I feel like it's released. I just set my day up and I write a list of all the things I need to do and all the things that I need to dump out on, from the day before, and I just let it go, and I kind of do a silent meditation and let it go in my planner, which is also my journal, and just release it so that it's not sitting here in my head. Journaling before bed is also a really great way to do that, or blogging or whatever it is that you do. Just get all those thoughts out so that they're not driving you completely insane, because that's a huge thing for sleep. So if you do these things with your sleep hygiene, set your morning up the night before, take your devices out, do not watch TV 2 hours before bed, do not engage on the computer about an hour before bed, read a book, do some low stimulus activities, and you're still not getting any sleep. I would say that you would want to check in with your primary care physician and ask them about some herbal medications. I do have some suggestions for that, but I'm not really going to go into them right now, because I want to do a video with a friend of mine who is a physician so that we can talk about that together. I don't like I love herbs and stuff, and I know a lot of things that can help, but there are some of you out there who are on certain medications and who have certain medical conditions that I don't want to give you any information that you could go try and potentially interfere with that. So I can, you can shoot me a message directly and we can talk about that privately if you have an individualized situation. But I would suggest that you do talk to your primary care physician. So with that, I'm going to move on to the next question. I skipped ahead to the sleep question from the headache question. Let's see. So how to talk to your doctor about... I already talked about that. Sorry, guys. Naturopathic ways to treat irritability and behaviors with autism and ADHD symptoms. That is a huge topic. So that is a huge topic, which I'm going to address briefly right now, and then I will talk about that in another video. For this one, it's a really controversial thing, autism and ADHD, behavioral issues. A lot of this can be helped with diet and taking out things like sugar, and I know this is like beating a dead horse. I'm sure people hear this all the time, but I've worked in naturopathic medicine and seen various things for 12 years, and the one thing that I have seen help the most with these type of conditions is eliminating the food intolerances and getting rid of those foods that are irritable, that can cause irritation and inflammation in the gut. And never underestimate the gut-brain connection. That is actually one of the biggest things in getting healing completely. All health starts in the gut. All disease starts in the gut, and all health starts in the gut. And so if we treat the gut, then we can treat a lot of different conditions. And so that's a really great place to start when you're dealing with behavioral issues, or when you're dealing with autism, or you're dealing with headaches, or you're dealing with even sleep. Is dealing with what's going on in your gut and your intestinal flora, and getting that, making sure that you don't have a bacterial overgrowth of bacteria and yeast that can be upsetting that flora balance, which can upset the neurotransmitters in your brain, and that's a lot. And the thing that feeds all that is sugar. So what you're going to want to do essentially is eliminate sugars and have a higher fat, higher protein, lower carb diet, high in vegetables. That is the key to pretty much a lot of the foundation, at least, to many things. Even I see PCOS on here and the thyroid on here, a plant-based diet, like a very high plant-based diet. That doesn't mean eliminate meat, that means cut down on a lot of these inflammatories. Get rid of gluten, if you have problems with it, get rid of things like, GMO corn, things like sugar, the red 40 and different food colorings. Those can cause problems too in a lot of autism and ADHD children. It's been found that red 40 is actually is an irritant. A lot of kids are actually allergic to it, which is totally crazy to me, because it's in everything. So eliminating things that have food dyes and looking at the ingredients on your foods is so important. If you've stopped reading labels for whatever reason, get back to reading the labels on your food. Get back to that whole foods. Whole foods is the best thing for like any condition. It is just grounding. Mental, mind, body, spirit. I mean, like, it is the most grounding thing to have a whole foods diet. You know, you have control of your life, you have control of your body, you're not feeding it trash, your gut microbiome is happy. This is the foundation of being healthy. And it's like, I know that you see it everywhere. I'm not a kale drinking hippie. I do like my Ben and Jerry's once in a while, but when it comes down to it, there are certain things I just won't eat, and that includes things like that have food coloring and these preservatives and stuff. So read your labels and get back to those whole foods and help your children learn how to read labels, because that's going to be their biggest help in life, is to read labels when they get older and know how to eat and know how to carry themselves through life with their food. So that is huge. That is basically the answer to many of these questions, and I know that's kind of crazy. It just is. I mean, that's what I've seen in all of these cases at work. So I'm going to look at the questions here again and see what the next one is. The sleep. So back to the sleep thing, you want to have some good sleep hygiene, and you want to make sure to eliminate your devices. And I can go into some herbs and stuff and supplements. I'd really like to have my doctor friend with me though, so that she can help explain some of that. So I've got 2 more questions, and I will make some YouTube videos to elaborate on these conditions and their potential treatments here tonight after this, and I'll release them throughout the week. So the next question is about PCOS and thyroid issues. So it's really interesting because going back to autism, PCOS, women who have PCOS are actually more likely to have children who are autistic. And I, again, believe that has to do with gut health. And one of my friends has a really interesting theory about autism in relation to vaccinations is that in the beginning, the child has not a very good gut health. Starting out, so that lowers the immune system. So for those of you who aren't familiar with gut health, your immune system is your gut. So your intestines and your gut, that's your immune system. So if you have a low immune system and you get sick all the time, chances are your gut flora is out of balance. Chances are you're eating a lot of sugar. Chances are you're eating a lot of carbs. Chances are you're feeding that little monster down there, and it is making you sick. So that is actually it's the cause of everything. And so imagine you take your child who has a weakened immune system in to go get a series of inoculations, and they don't have anything to fight those inoculations to boost their immune system, because the Western medical doesn't even think about that. I mean, so they go and inoculate them with all these vaccinations, boom, autism happens, and maybe the mom has PCOS, maybe she's suffering too. And it's like such a common story for so many people. It's the gut, it's all in the gut, and like people are just totally missing it. So the theory is, if you were to have a child, this is back to the vaccination, this is kind of something that our clinic is doing. We just got vaccinations at our clinic, which is super controversial. But what we're doing is we're putting the children on delayed vaccination schedules. We're getting them on diets that are helping with their gut flora and helping with that immune system and helping to boost all of that, and then using some immune boosting herbs, and then giving a delayed schedule. And then there's less risk for that autism. So it's like, at least that's the theory that we have, and hopefully that can spread, and hopefully we're onto something there. So back to that gut flora here. So it's cleaning up your diet, getting rid of the sugar and killing those little microbes. And that's something I will talk about, and I really want to do a class on. So the last question that I have is what my thoughts are on CBD, at least on heroin, and I think there's some questions from the live I'll go through. So the last question on the bullet coaching post is, what are my thoughts on CBD oil for anxiety, stress, and pain? And I'm actually a huge marijuana advocate. I think that it is totally medicine, and I think that it helps with everything. I actually believe that the CBD oil and like Rick Simpson oil, which they're totally different, because the CBD oil is just isolated CBD, and Rick Simpson is like, woo! They're both very helpful with these chronic conditions, and I've had benefit from both. I've had more benefit from Rick Simpson, but it kind of is too much, so that CBD is really great for people who don't want that high. So I think that it does help with the anxiety. I think it does help with stress. I think it does help with pain. I think that the common link for it, though, is actually the lowering of inflammation rather than the CBD itself. The link for all of it is back to that gut health and inflammation. Inflammation is what causes pain. Well, what triggers those pain receptors to give you pain. So inflammation in your body can actually be chronic inflammation is cancer. So that is actually what leads to cancer, is when you have chronic inflammation in the body. So what you want to do is quench that inflammation by eating, a plant-based diet. I feel like I'm repeating a plant-based diet, and taking anti-inflammatories and things like turmeric and pineapple and ginger and anti-inflammatory herbs. Those are the things that are going to help those pain responses. So I think that CBD is something that is great to use for that. And anxiety is actually another thing that comes back to that gut health. If you get your gut flora in order, your anxiety will actually decrease. So you can throw like lavender oil or like, anti-anxiety medication or herbs at it all day long, smoke pot all day long, but if your gut flora is imbalanced, you're still going to have that anxiety, and everything's still going to be, kind of a problem. So lowering your inflammation, getting your gut flora in order, those are the things that are going to help with everything, all these questions, everything overall. So I guess that really is the answer to all these questions, is get on a whole foods diet, lower your inflammation, and have some sleep hygiene, and, journal. That's a really good thing to kind of know where you're at. Check in with yourself and find out where you're at and what kind of foods. I liked, when I was beginning my journey, I used to do a food journal, and I would journal how the foods made me feel, when I was eating like wheat. Did it make me feel irritable, or did it make me feel anxious? Was I, bloated? And I came to find that those things that were making me anxious and bloated were actually food intolerances and allergies I couldn't have. So that's a huge thing. And I really want to actually do a class on that. So if anybody wants to learn more about, gut flora and how it affects your health, let me know in the comments below, and I will put together a class for that, because I'm super impassioned about it, and it saved my life, and it saved my husband's life, and in addition to the genome mind, those things are like super pivotal. So I'm going to go through really quick the comments on this live and see if I have any questions here, because I don't want to miss anybody. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you guys are all here. Thank you for watching. This has been so much fun for me. So ingesting essential oils from Juanita. Great question. I have a question. Ingesting essential oils is good or bad for the system? I've heard bad. I've heard good, but I'm confused. Yeah. Great topic. So I'm actually a real big stickler on this. It's a no. It's a no. Don't ingest your essential oils. Raindrop therapy is not recommended. I actually went to college for this. I have my certificate in aromatherapy, and it has always been a big fat no. Do not ingest essential oils, and it's not because they will like kill you or anything. It's because they're hard on your liver. They are very concentrated plants plant oil, they can be really hard on your liver, and some people have liver conditions, like, and if you're having, like, a big one is frankincense. Oh my god, I hate it. Frankincense is endangered, thank you, and I don't care what anybody says. Even if you're planting frankincense trees, you're not going to plant enough to, like, make them all, make a difference. But anyways, frankincense, if you take frankincense orally and you have a liver condition, it can actually make things totally worse. So don't ingest your essential oils. The only